Video games. Something most of us have grown up with, right? I mean, games have given us some incredible memories over the years. But we also have to remember that at the end of the day, they are a business. Game studios and developers need to make money. And trust me, these companies make a lot of it. The gaming industry has exploded in recent years, becoming the largest entertainment market out there. Naturally, big companies are all about maximizing their profits. But there's one company that really stands out for some not so great practices. And yeah, you probably already guessed it, since it's in the title, it's EA. Now this video could just as easily be about Activision, Ubisoft, Bethesda or a bunch of others. But today we are only focusing on what is for many the most hated company in the entire industry, EA. And hey, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe and leave a comment telling me who you think is the worst developer or publisher out there. Back in 2012 and 2013, EA was actually voted the most hated company in the United States. That's kind of crazy, right? I mean, personally, I think there are way worse companies out there doing a lot more harm, but still, there are plenty of reasons EA ended up at the top of that list, which we are going to get into right now. And honestly, if I went over everything, this would end up being a blockbuster length video, so let's not waste any time and dive right in. A little history first. Electronic Arts was founded in 1982 by a guy named Trip Hawkins. As the name suggests, the original focus was supposed to be on art. Hawkins wanted his company to treat game developers and designers like actual artists, which was pretty unique at the time. Back then, companies like Atari wouldn't even credit the developers because they didn't want them getting hired away by other studios. But EA was completely different. Their employees were considered artists and were treated like it. They even released games with album-style cover arts that looked like vinyl records, which honestly looked really cool. But unfortunately, that whole artistic vision didn't last very long. Hawkins left the company in 1991 and his successor Larry Probst started shifting EA towards a much more profit-driven direction. That's also when we got EA Sports, which quickly became a big player in the market. From there, EA started aggressively expanding by acquiring smaller studios, and the downside of that, they often ended up shutting them down. There's actually an entire Wikipedia page dedicated to the studios that EA bought and then shut down. And actually, that's kind of wild if you ask me. One great example is Origin Systems, the developers behind the Ultima series. After EA acquired them, they were pushed to rush their games under pretty bad working conditions, which obviously affected quality and led to the studio's complete downfall. The same thing happened to other studios like Maxis, the original creators of SimCity, and also Bullfrog. They are known for the Syndicate series. EA would buy them, milk their IPs and then drop them like used toys. EA also went after a bunch of exclusive licenses. Like NASCAR in 2003. They used to make NASCAR games that people actually liked, but after getting the exclusive license, the quality dropped and eventually people lost interest. The entire NASCAR series was cancelled in 2010. They did the same thing in other sports games too, like for example FIFA, where EA basically locked out all of the competition by grabbing all the official licenses back then. And speaking of FIFA, let's talk about FIFA 9. That was the first game to introduce Ultimate Team, which lets you build your own squad by earning or buying players. You can grind and earn points by playing, or of course you can just pay real money. It's basically a pay-to-win mechanic. And just that one single game mode made about 1.6 billion in 2021 alone. Now back in 2008, the same year FIFA 9 came out, EA acquired Pandemic Studios, the team behind awesome games like the original Star Wars Battlefront and Destroy All Humans. But just a year later, in 2009, they shut them down. It seemed like EA was only interested in the IP, and once they had it, Pandemic was finished. The same story played out so many times with other studios. EA would buy smaller studios, squeeze them for their assets, then shut them down, taking with them unique games that could have been developed even further. And it didn't stop there. EA took that pay-to-win concept and brought it to full-price games, like Star Wars Battlefront. They released Battlefront in 2015 and fans were disappointed. It had very little content, no story mode and felt unfinished. EA's solution? A Season Pass, priced almost the same as the base game, just to access what felt like content that should have been there at launch. And then came Battlefront 2, and this is where the real drama kicked off. They actually improved some things, but now they added loot boxes that gave players in-game advantages. So yeah, complete pay-to-win system. Now look, loot boxes are controversial even when it's just cosmetic skins, like in Counter-Strike. But in Battlefront 2, these loot boxes were tied to things called star cards that gave you actual perks and boosts, and they were almost only obtainable through loot boxes. And if you wanted to play as an iconic character like Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker, you either had to grind like crazy or again spend real money. The backlash was massive. EA's Reddit response became the most downvoted comment in Reddit history. The controversy even led to government investigations into child gambling in several countries. Disney had to step in and eventually EA removed the pay-to-win element, but by then the damage was done. And honestly, I could keep going. EA had plenty of scandals, like what happened with Battlefield 2042 or how poorly they handled player feedback, but let's not get too lost in details. What really bothers me though is how EA treats its employees, or at least treated them. Look, I get it, every company wants to make money, that's fine, but when it starts affecting the well-being of your employees, that's where the line should be drawn. In 2004, the wife of an EA employee wrote a blog post about how her husband was working up to 100 hours a week, including weekends, and this wasn't even during crunch time. If you're not familiar, crunch time is forced overtime, and sadly it's pretty common in the gaming industry. It's not just EA, companies like Rockstar have made headlines for this too. EA tried to clean up their image after that and claimed to improve conditions, but crunch culture is still a major issue across the entire industry. Look, I get it, companies need to make profits, that's totally fine, but when it comes at the expense of game quality, player experience and employee welfare, that's when things have gone too far. EA isn't by far not the only company guilty of this stuff, and yeah, they've made games that I've genuinely enjoyed, and you probably have too, but at a certain point it becomes critical when morality gets pushed behind profit.